This week, I'm going to talk about the impact of the COVID crisis as we enter fifth month of the crisis in US, what lenders can learn from it, and what is the way forward for fintech players like us as well as for the traditional lenders.
Rohit, the COVID-19 pandemic has now entered its fifth month here in the United States. When you look back at late February, early March, what are some of the assumptions that were made in the business lending space at that time that have really panned out as the pandemic has unfolded?
Yeah, no, I think that's a very good question because in like by middle of February, we started getting alarmed about the situation and we had already started taking steps to curtail our exposure in the hospitality industry, in the food industry. Obviously, nobody took that crisis very seriously in US till middle of March. And I think looking back, I think that's one thing that, we all could have done better and faster. Obviously, having lived through the 2008 crisis, one of the things we have learned is that when a crisis comes in, you have to take it more seriously than less, because it's better to be over prepared than under prepared. And that's what we started doing in by middle of February. And that's why we are here today, because we survived the crisis and we are going through it. But the idea always is to get more prepared and well prepared.
What were some of the things you expected to happen as this pandemic unfolded that really didn't occur the way you expected?
So, by like third week of February, we started looking at it and we were realizing the seriousness of the crisis, but nobody, including us, ever expected this crisis to be so deep and so wide and so long. I think that was a big underestimation. And I think this crisis has also shown that, that when a recession comes, the outcomes are pretty much, similar, while the reasons of the recessions are different. And what I mean by that is we are starting to see a lot of consolidation in the fintech space. We are going to see a lot of M&A in the banking space, and we are going to see a lot of pain, before things get better for the lending industry overall.
What are the lessons that lenders are taking away from the COVID-19 pandemic in your view?
I think there are two or three fundamental lessons. Obviously, banks which have large branch footprint are starting to realize that, a lot of the physical infrastructure is not going to work. They're under tremendous amount of cost pressure to transform their businesses and move that away from a very high fixed infrastructure to a more digital environment. I think the other thing is, banks will have to relook at their risk models. They will have to now incorporate, risk matrix for healthcare crisis, which nobody had ever expected. And they would have to also live with, portfolios which are going to get under tremendous amount of stress. In my view, in the short term, after PPP ends, there will be a small business lending credit crunch is coming. That's true. There's a report in today's newspapers also about, banks have stalled all their commercial lending. And that's going to happen. That's going to stay there for quite some time, in my view. And it will also depend on how quickly the economy is coming back. Uh, what's going to pick up is more SBA traditional lending programs after the PPP ends. And then you will see after that, non-SBA programs will come back.
In your view, as the next couple of months unfold, where should bankers be focusing their efforts in their operations in order to better address what's coming next for the business lending marketplace?
Yeah, so bankers will have to focus on three things. One, they will have to focus on how do they cut their cost structures? How do they reinvest their money into technology and going digital very quick? And then the third is in risk management and existing portfolios, and also how do they prepare in a post-crisis situation. One good thing in this recession has been that since it is a healthcare crisis, as soon as we have a grip on this healthcare issue, whether it's through treatments, drugs, or vaccination, the rebound is going to be very quick and very fast. And that's where, the lender should also be able to navigate that, and also be able to, manage their existing portfolios. And a lot of businesses, if they survive, they will come back very strongly. So the idea in the short term is that how bankers can help their portfolio companies to survive during this crisis. My take for business lending is that we are going through one of the worst crises out there, and it's also a big opportunity. So lenders who are able to transform themselves, change themselves, are able to manage their risk well, focus a lot on helping their customer base, working with them right now, getting aligned with the government programs, will come out from this crisis much stronger. They also have to be very digitally focused and also make quick decisions to go and choose the right platforms to go digital, because once the crisis ends, they won't get the time uh, or the luxury to do that.